everyone, welcome here. If you're new here, my name is Rebecca. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you for coming back and watching another video. So I am a lifelong procrastinator. It's something that's always been a part of my identity. It's always how I work. And in recent years, I've been trying to understand it a little bit more and get better about it. So in today's video, I want to talk about some of the things that I've explored, some of the questions that I've asked myself, and some of the ways that I motivate myself as a procrastinator. So before we dive in, I will say that there's a lot of different types of procrastinators and reasons why people put things off. So in today's video, I'm just going to speak from personal experience, understanding the reasons why I put things off or lose motivation and the steps that I take to correct it. All right, let's get started. So the first piece in understanding and combating procrastination is to be honest about the narrative that you tell yourself. We all have stories and excuses that we make for ourselves that allow us and give us permission to put things off. So for me, I've been telling myself the story for years that I quote unquote do my best work under pressure. I think this is a really common story that a lot of people, especially people in a creative field, tell themselves. And for some people, it might be completely true. But if I'm honest and if I really reflect on this, that's not really true. Yes, I can get something done and I can get a high volume of work done in a short amount of time if I have to. But if I'm being honest, the quality of the work will be better if I give myself some breathing room. And this actually became evident when I started looking at my YouTube videos. Yes, I can edit an entire video the night before I want to post it, but the video will be so much better if I give myself a few days to edit it. Because then I have time to go back, I can watch it several times through, I can add little details to it, I can add art cards or B-roll. So yes, I can get something done in a short amount of time, but the real truth is it's not always better. And the danger in this is that it gives me permission to perpetuate that false narrative in a lot of other places in my life. So I identify as a procrastinator. That's part of my identity. So then when I don't want to do the dishes, it's like, well, I'm a procrastinator. I'll do it later. But the excuse I've given myself is that I do my best work under pressure. So are the dishes going to be more clean, or I'm going to find a more creative way to wash the dishes if I put it off? No, this narrative holds no water and it's not true. So cracking open your excuses, exploring your excuses, and being honest with yourself is the first step in understanding and combating your procrastination. The next thing that I do is to remind myself the cost of putting off a task. So my physical and mental well-being is really important to me. I've designed my entire life and value system around living a life that feels healthy and nourishing to me. So to remind myself that if I put something off, if I procrastinate, that is really going to lead to an increased level of stress and in a lot of cases, a decreased level of sleep. So either I'm going to stay up late to get something done, or it's going to disrupt my sleep because I'm worried about it or thinking about it. So I constantly try to remind myself that agreeing to putting something off, agreeing to procrastinate, is like agreeing to degrade my health. And a lot of times this is a really great motivator for me. And your motivation might be different. It might be that putting something off is going to cost you time with your family or time to exercise or something else that is important to you. But just reminding yourself what the actual outcome will be if you put a task off. My next tip is to minimize distractions. I think in some ways this one is really straightforward, right? The things that come to mind: turning off the TV, shutting your email, putting your phone in a different room, all those things that typically distract you, putting them aside so you can focus on a task. But I think that there's another layer to peel back on this, and that's understanding what a distraction really is to you. And the reason that I say this is because I used to claim that I would procrastinate by cleaning, and I qualified that as a distraction. But when I really start to uncover why I'm cleaning instead of doing the task, it's because I cannot focus if there's a mess around me. So I'm not putting off the actual task. What I'm doing by cleaning is minimizing the distractions in my space. So really take time to unpack what a distraction is for you instead of just saying like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put my phone in the other room and that'll be done. If you need to clear other mental or physical clutter around you, feel free to give yourself permission to do that. My next tip is to make a carefully curated to-do list. I'm guilty of making a miles-long to-do list with every single thing that I would ever need to do in a day on it, just for the joy of crossing things off the list. You know what I mean? In the same list, I would put things like walk out to the mailbox and go get the mail and build an entire website for yourself. But I found this enables my procrastination because it makes me feel like I'm still being productive, but not actually tackling the tasks that I'm putting off. So I can be like, look at all these things that I did today. I walked to the mailbox. It's okay that I didn't work on my website at all. So to counteract this, I make a very carefully curated to-do list for my day. It usually just involves all of those complex tasks or hard tasks in my day that I know that I will likely put off and procrastinate if given the opportunity. And if I need to brain dump all those other things that I need to do in my day, because sometimes there's just too much in here and I need to get it out somewhere, I will make a separate list of almost like admin tasks. And then I'll chunk out certain times in my day that are just for those admin tasks so I can keep myself really focused on the more complex procrastinated tasks. That leads really nicely into my next tip, which is to break larger projects into smaller tasks. I find that this helps get the momentum going and helps you feel a sense of accomplishment for those things that you've been putting off. So let's take making a YouTube video, for instance. Every week I have on my to-do list, make a YouTube video. That's a big and daunting task. There's a lot that goes into making a YouTube video. So I break it into little micro projects that help me tackle things and feel productive and get momentum going that doesn't leave me scrambling at the last moment. So usually I'll break it up into little bite-sized pieces. Like my task one day is just going to be to come up with the content. What am I going to make this video about? And the next day, my only task for the YouTube video might be make notes. And then my next task might be film the B-roll, right? So breaking it up into these little chunks that really gets the momentum rolling and helps you feel productive and makes you want to keep working on it. My next tip is to let the figure out stage be its own task. So I know a lot of times I will procrastinate something because I don't know where to start, especially if I'm going to undertake like a big or complex project. I'll put it off because I'm like, I just don't even know where to begin. And one of my greatest realizations was that when I'm undertaking a big project, I need to allow myself some time to figure it out and know that figuring it out is productive. So let me give you an example. For more than a year, I've wanted to make a website for myself, a place that houses all the content I talk about here on YouTube, that shares some of my favorite sustainable products. I've been thinking about this for a long time, but I haven't done it because for a long time I didn't know where to start and I was just feeling like I was failing because I was like, I'm overwhelmed by trying to do this. But then I started to give myself daily tasks and set aside time just to think about it. So every day when I go walk Gypsy, that would be my time to think about like, how do I want to structure this? How do I want to build it? Where do I want to build it? How do I want to use it? And that was an actual thing that I could check off my to-do list. Like, yes, I spent time thinking about how to tackle this big project today. And that, like I was saying earlier, builds momentum. Once you start on something, the desire to complete it starts to grow. And this doesn't necessarily only apply to the beginning of a project either. You can get stuck in the middle just as easily, but you can still apply the same principle of like, okay, I'm going to carve out some space to figure out my next step. My next tip, I think it might be the most important and impactful for me, and that's to have other people hold you accountable. This one has probably made the biggest difference in my life. In my work, I'm a freelancer. I'm essentially my own boss, which can be a really difficult combination when you're also a procrastinator. So I found that one of the best things I can do is share a deadline, even if it's artificial, even if it doesn't make a difference if I get it done by that date. If I tell someone I'm going to get it done, I will get it done. And I know that because another part of my personality is I don't like to disappoint anybody. So if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, can you do this thing? Like, no rush, whenever you can, I say, yes, I can do this thing for you and I will have it to you by next Tuesday. Because if I don't say that, I will put it off. It's the same reason why at the end of every YouTube video I say, I put out new videos every Tuesday, or see you next Tuesday. Because I just told you guys there'll be a video next Tuesday and I don't want to disappoint anybody. Also, I just told you I'm making a website. Now I have to make the website. Website coming summer 2021. Now I gotta do it. So my last tip is to just know that this takes time. It's never gonna be as easy as do these 5 things in an afternoon and you'll no longer be a procrastinator. This is deep, reflective understanding, and you really have to be willing to peel back the layers of self and understand what's going on and what's driving your procrastination and your own triggers. So give yourself some grace and just know that the work of change is slow and hard. All right, that's it for this week's video. I hope you found this helpful. helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I'll answer whatever I can. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me over on Instagram. And just so I can't procrastinate, I will see you next Tuesday. Bye, everyone. Oh, it's so hot in here. Dying. More water. It's itchy. Me finishing my notes over here the last minute. Classic. Hey, little bug. The door's that way. Bye, little bug. But what I fit it out. Yeah. You guys know I nap every day. Only for like 10 or 20 minutes, but every day. It's about nap time. And in conclusion, take 2. Goodbye.